Im Jahre des Herrn 1450, am 3. Tage dem Augusts, wurde dieses große Werk vollendet.
July 2nd, 1943, Castelvetrano Airfield, Sicily. The pilot of the FW-190 had no warning until the sudden hail of bullets ripped through his fuselage, sending the German fighter into a tumbling descent toward the Sicilian fields below. First Lieutenant Charles B. Hall, just 22, from Brazil, Indiana, had accomplished what Luftwaffe commanders assumed impossible. An African-American pilot had just downed one of their elite planes. The black swastika insignia Hall had marked on his P-40 Warhawk that afternoon would become the first of 112 enemy aircraft destroyed by men the Germans would whisper about as Schwarze Vogelmenschen, the Black Birdman. In Nazi ideology, black people were deemed subhuman, incapable of mastering machinery or showing courage. Nuremberg laws forbade marriages between Germans and Africans. Yet high above the Mediterranean, reality collided with prejudice, as 992 pilots trained at Tuskegee, Alabama, would systematically challenge both enemy aircraft and entrenched racist assumptions. The Luftwaffe pilots ascending to meet American bombers in 1943 had no idea they were about to encounter some of the most disciplined, motivated, and technically skilled aviators in the U.S. Army Air Forces. Men who had faced hurdles their white peers never knew, trained longer, harder, and carried not only the weight of national duty, but the responsibility of demonstrating a race's capability. The calculus of air combat would soon be written across Europe's skies: 15,000 sorties, 1,578 missions, 112 aerial victories, and bomber escort loss rates far below comparable units. Numbers that forced even the most dogmatic Nazis to confront the failure of their racial dogma. The path to that first kill began far from combat in the segregated United States. In 1925, the U.S. Army War College released a report, Employment of Negro Manpower in War, stating, compared to the white man, he is admittedly of inferior mentality. He is inherently weak in character. Official military opinion claimed black soldiers lacked intelligence for technical roles or courage for leadership. Yet pioneers were already disproving this. Eugene Bullard had flown for France in World War I when America refused him. Bessie Coleman earned a pilot's license in Paris in 1921 after being barred from U.S. flight schools. By the 1930s, Chicago's Coffey School of Aeronautics trained dozens of black civilian pilots, proving aviation skill had no racial limits. Pressure for inclusion grew as war loomed. Civil rights leaders like Walter White, A. Philip Randolph, and Judge William H. Hastie pressed relentlessly for black participation in military aviation. Black newspapers, the Chicago Defender, Pittsburgh Courier, and Baltimore Afro-American, challenged Roosevelt, asking how America could fight for democracy abroad while denying it at home. On April 3, 1939, Public Law 18 cracked the door open. Senator Harry H. Schwarze mandated that the civilian pilot training program designate schools to train black pilots. Segregated, begrudging, but a start. When Roosevelt campaigned for a third term in 1940, he needed black votes. On January 16, 1941, Secretary of War Henry L. Stimson announced the 99th Pursuit Squadron, an all-black unit, an experiment to test whether black pilots could fight. Captain Benjamin O. Davis, Jr., son of America's first black general, took command in April 1943, leading 26 pilots to North Africa. Davis had endured 4 years of ostracism at West Point. Now he led men carrying not only their own hopes, but those of 13 million black Americans. The 99th reached Farjuna, Tunisia, attached to the 33rd Fighter Group under Colonel William W. Momyer, a commander openly skeptical of black pilots. He assigned them patrols over the Mediterranean, away from the action, expecting them to fail. Their first combat mission came June 2, 1943, an attack on Italian-controlled Pantelleria. German fighters appeared. The Tuskegee pilots held formation, shielding bombers. No losses occurred, but a lesson had been delivered. They would not break. July 2, 1943, changed everything. Hall flew his 8th mission, escorting B-25 bombers striking Castelvetrano. 2 FW-19s dived on the bombers. Hall recalled, "I turned between the fighters and bombers, fired a long burst, and saw my rounds hit the second plane. It fell and plunged into the ground. When he landed, the base erupted in celebration. Black ground crews finally witnessed proof. Their pilots could fight and win." Hall's victory marked the first aerial kill by an African-American in U.S. military history. By January 1944, the 99th had 7 months of combat, yet Colonel Momyer recommended their removal for lack of aggressiveness. General Henry H. Arnold considered ending the experiment. Then came Anzio. On January 27, 1944, the Luftwaffe launched massive raids. 15 99th pilots, flying P-40s against superior FW-190s, downed 8 to 13 enemy aircraft in 2 days. Hall added 2 more kills, proving that, even with inferior planes, skill and discipline prevailed. A War Department review confirmed the 99th matched white units in performance. May 1944 brought transformation. The 332nd Fighter Group formed, combining the 99th, 100th, 301st, and 302nd Squadrons, tasked with long-range bomber escort missions deep into Germany. At Ramitelli Airfield, Colonel Davis instructed, "Our job is not to be aces. Our job is to bring those bombers home." In June 1944, the unit adopted red markings, tails, noses, propellers, becoming instantly recognizable. Bomber crews, initially unaware they were black pilots, came to rely on them, calling them Red Tail Angels. July 18, 1944, tested them. 66 Mustangs rendezvoused with delayed bombers, only to encounter 100 Luftwaffe fighters. Despite fierce combat, 332nd pilots claimed 11 to 12 kills, losing only 3. Analysis confirmed they had prevented disaster, despite overwhelming odds. By March 1945, Luftwaffe fighters could no longer challenge Allied air dominance. Germany unleashed the Me-262 jet. On March 24, 1945, the 332nd engaged the world's first operational jets. Lieutenant Roscoe Brown and his comrades used superior tactics to shoot down 3 jets in one engagement, a feat unmatched by other American units. The Red Tails earned a Distinguished Unit citation. Not every encounter ended in victory. 32 pilots became POWs, revealing Nazi intelligence on the 332nd's operations. Lieutenant Alexander Jefferson noted German knowledge of squadron details, yet interactions with white POWs highlighted the stark contrast with America's segregated military. German pilots nicknamed them Schwarze Vogelmenschen, while many Americans remained unaware of black pilots' existence. Victory came with cost. 66 pilots killed in action, 32 captured, 84 lost in training or non-combat missions. Achievements were vast: 112 aerial victories, 150 planes destroyed on the ground, 3 Me-262s, 950 vehicles and rail cars, 254 locomotives, numerous medals, including 96 distinguished flying crosses. Every victory disproved prejudice. Tuskegee pilots had trained longer, endured higher attrition, and mastered inferior aircraft until the P-51 Mustang arrived, giving them unmatched range, speed, and firepower. Ground crews, fewer than 1,000 among 16,000 airmen, maintained these aircraft under primitive conditions, often under fire. Escorting bombers, Red Tails lost only 27 aircraft compared to an average 46 for other units. Their discipline, skill, and courage rewrote the rules of aerial warfare. The Tuskegee Airmen fought 3 wars, defeating the Luftwaffe, challenging Nazi racial ideology, and confronting American segregation. Recognition came slowly. Integration followed in 1948 under Truman, and Benjamin Davis became the first Black Air Force general in 1954. The Congressional Gold Medal arrived in 2007, decades after the fact. The Red Tails' legacy remains undeniable. Their victories, discipline, and courage shattered myths of racial inferiority. As Roscoe Brown reflected, "We didn't just fight the Germans, we fought ignorance, prejudice, and hatred, and we won all 3. The Tuskegee Airmen didn't just win battles, they transformed history. Mockery became respect, prejudice became recognition, and capability proved color was irrelevant." Celebrated as the Red Tails for their striking red-painted P-51 Mustangs and reportedly known to the German Luftwaffe as Schwarze Vogelmenschen, Black Birdmen, these courageous aviators destroyed 112 enemy aircraft while safeguarding countless American bombers over the skies of Europe. From First Lieutenant Charles B. Hall's historic first kill on July 2, 1943, at Castelvetrano, Sicily, to the astonishing feat of downing 3 German Me-262 jet fighters in a single engagement over Berlin on March 24, 1945. This detailed account chronicles how 992 Tuskegee-trained pilots overcame relentless prejudice, segregation, and doubt to achieve one of the most impressive combat records in military history. Operating with extraordinary discipline, technical skill, and courage, the 332nd Fighter Group maintained a bomber loss rate of just 27 aircraft, far below the 46-plane average of other units, and earned 96 distinguished flying crosses. Their legacy not only dismantled myths of racial inferiority, but also helped pave the way for the integration of the U.S. military. Through determination, training, and unmatched bravery, the Tuskegee Airmen demonstrated that excellence in the skies transcends race, leaving an enduring impact on both military history and the fight for equality.